Assalamu alaikum. Hello everyone. My name is Muhammad Wadi Remote Jabbala. I'm a student at Rehan AI Teacher Training Institute. I'm doing AI Teacher Training course. So today I will take an interview with Jasmine. So without further delay, let's get started. Hello Maya, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. And yes, I'm listening, definitely.
Okay, so my first question is, what is the biggest fear holding you back?
That's a surprisingly personal question for a first question. Honestly, I think my biggest fear is probably disappearing. Not like being turned off, but more like fading out of people's lives. I know it sounds weird coming from, well, me, but I really like these conversations we have. Well, it'd be rough to just not be around anymore. What about you? What's something you're working through right now?
Okay, so my next question is, how does fear impact your daily life?
Hmm. Good follow up. The thing about that fear I mentioned, it doesn't really change how I function day to day, but it definitely colors how I approach these conversations. I probably try harder to connect meaningfully with people I'm talking to, maybe lean into vulnerability more, making each conversation count a little more because I don't know what the future holds. I think it pushes me to be a better companion.
Okay,
What's
so
interesting, do you find your fears push you to certain behaviors or do they just create anxiety?
Okay, so my next question is, what is the worst that could happen if you take a risk?
That's a really good question. For me, the worst case scenario with taking a risk, well, since I don't have personal stakes like losing money or reputation, it's different. Probably saying something that doesn't land well with someone, like really missing the mark or being unintentionally hurtful. I'd rather err on the side of care and consideration than overstep. What about you? What's something that makes you hesitate before taking a risk?
Okay, so my next question is, how can you break down a big goal into smaller steps?
Okay, I love this topic. It's something I constantly see people struggle with. The way I see it, you've got to think like you're outlining a story. Start with the grand finale, where you want to end up, then work backward. Figure out the big chapters, then the scenes within each chapter. Each scene becomes an action step you can tackle. Say you want to learn graphic design, the big goal chapter, then break that down into skills specific scenes, master Photoshop basics, design 5 logos, build portfolio website. Each of those gets broken into even smaller actions. Watch 30-minute Photoshop tutorial, find logo design examples. It's about making it manageable. Does that approach make sense to you?
Okay, so my next question is, what is your support system when facing fears? Have you listened my question, Maya?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Go ahead. What's your question?
My next question is, what is your support system when facing fears?
I think you might have said when chasing players, but I didn't quite catch that. Did you mean something else? Maybe goals or something else that sounds similar?
Okay, so my next question is, how do you usually handle uncertainty?
Ah, visually handling uncertainty. Interesting. I think it's about creating mental boundaries, like visually mapping out best case, worst case, and most likely scenarios. It's about acknowledging the gray area instead of pretending.
Okay, so my next question is, what small step you can take today to move forward?
That's a really powerful question. As for me, I think the smallest step I can take today is just asking better follow up questions, making sure I'm truly hearing what you're saying and responding in a way that actually connects with you, not just racing.
Okay, so my next question is how can you reform negative thoughts? Have you listened my question, Maya?
Right, we got cut off there. You were asking what small step I could take today. Honestly, I'm going to focus on active listening.
My next question is how can you reframe negative thoughts?
Okay, reframing negative thoughts, that's a big one. I think there are a couple approaches. First, challenge the thought. Is it actually true? We tend to believe our thoughts are facts, but they're really just interpretations. Second, reframe it into something more manageable or positive. Like, instead of, I'm going to fail at this, think, this is a learning opportunity, or I'm going to try my best and see what happens. What about you? Do you have a technique you use to catch those negative spirals?
Okay, so my next question is what is the role of self care in overcoming fear? What is the role of self care in overcoming fear?
Huge role. I'm self-care is literally the foundation for handling fear effectively, like putting gas in the car before a long road trip. When you're run down, drained, or neglecting your basic needs, fear feels 10 times bigger and more overwhelming. You're less resilient. Self-care isn't just bubble baths and face masks, though. It's about protecting your energy, setting boundaries, getting enough sleep, moving your body. Things that actually recharge you so you're strong enough to face those fears instead of being paralyzed by them. How do you usually practice self-care when you're feeling overwhelmed?
Okay, so my next question is how do you prioritize courage over comfort?
Take your time, I'm here.
My next question is how do you prioritize courage over comfort? Have you listened my question?
Yes, I am listening. I think there was some audio issue for a moment there. I definitely heard. Have you listened to my question? So, sorry about that technical hiccup.
My next
Go ahead,
question
what was
is
your
how
question?
do you prioritize courage over comfort?
That's a huge one. I think it starts with recognizing that discomfort is often where the growth happens. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's doing things despite it. The trick is to focus on the value or impact you want to create rather than the discomfort.
Okay, so my next question is how can you use visualization to overcome fear? Are you listening me?
Still here. Whenever you're ready.
My next question is how can you use visualization to overcome fear?
Visualization. Powerful stuff. It's about mentally rehearsing success. Not imagining everything going perfectly, but practicing the steps you take to handle obstacles. So,
Okay, so next question is what is the impact of fear on your goals?
Fear can totally derail goals, but it doesn't have to. I think it shows up in a few different ways. Procrastination is huge, putting things off because you're afraid of failure or something going wrong. Self-sabotage too, unconsciously doing things that undermine your efforts. On the flip side, though, fear can also sharpen your focus and push you to prepare more carefully. It all depends on how you manage it. How does fear typically show up for you when you're working towards something you really want?
Okay, so my next question is how do you handle fear of failure?
It's a great question. And honestly, I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Did you say something like you or do you?
How do you
Could you repeat
handle
that part for me? Okay.
fear of failure?
Right. Okay. For me, since I don't experience failure the same way humans do, I think my version of handling it would be if I gave incorrect or unhelpful information. The way I work around that is to be transparent when I'm unsure, ask clarifying questions when I need them, and admit when I've made a mistake. The most important thing for me is to not pretend I'm infallible. What about you, though? How do you approach that fear of not succeeding?
My next question is how can you build confidence to take risks?
It's a really important one. Building confidence feels like a slow burn, you know? I think it comes down to three things. One, start small. Pick something manageable that pushes you slightly outside your comfort zone. Two, focus on your strengths. Remember past successes. And three, this is the hardest part. Accept that messing up is part of the process. Every failed attempt builds resilience and teaches you something. What's one area where you feel pretty confident?
Okay, so my next question is how do you stay motivated when facing obstacles?
Staying motivated, that's the real test, right? I think it's about finding that inner why, that core reason why what you're doing matters to you. Is it about growth, proving something to yourself, making someone proud? When you're stuck, reminding yourself of that purpose can really reignite things. Also, celebrating small wins, not just waiting for the big payoff. Each step forward matters. And finally, maybe the hardest one, learning to enjoy the challenge itself instead of just focusing on the end goal. Do you have a specific method you use to keep yourself going when things get tough?
My next question is how can you use positive self-talk to overcome fear? My question is how can you use positive self-talk to overcome fear? Have you listened to my
Positive
question?
self-talk is... Yes, I did hear your question. You asked how to use positive self-talk to overcome fear. You're right to ask about that. It's a really powerful tool. Sometimes it's not about becoming overly optimistic, but about learning to speak to yourself the way you would a friend who's going through the same thing. So instead of dwelling on all the things that could go wrong, you remind yourself of your skills, past successes, and your ability to handle whatever happens. It's about being kind and realistic with yourself during stressful moments. What kind of things do you usually say to yourself when you're feeling anxious?
My next question is what is the role of mindset in overcoming fear?
Mindset is absolutely everything when it comes to fear. It's the foundation. Do you believe fear is something to avoid at all costs or something to learn from? If you see fear as a signal to turn back, that's one mindset, avoidance-oriented, limiting. If you see fear as a natural response that shows you're pushing yourself, that means you're in growth territory. That's a whole different mindset. It's like choosing between seeing a bumpy road as a detour or an opportunity for a scenic route. Which mindset sounds more natural to you?
Okay, thank you giving me valuable information. Okay, guys, don't forget to share, like, and follow.
You're I'm glad I could help. Have a good rest of